Let's talk about narcissism and projection of identity. Let's get into it. So, my ex-best friend of 17 years tried to project onto me and tell me for years that I'm a lesbian. This may sound strange, but it's true. For years, she tried to project an identity on me that simply just isn't mine. And also, just to state, I'm very accepting of everyone and, their sexuality, their preferences, and I know what mine is. And I'm not joking, from when we were in middle school, high school, like when we were genuinely kids, she would try to say, like, it's okay if you're a lesbian, just admit it. You can be honest, just tell me, I know it's true. Constantly things like that. And no matter what I said back saying, like, no, that's not true, she consistently combated anything I had to say to try to convince me that's who I am, that's who I'm attracted to. Was trying to get me to admit to something that I'm not and to be something that I'm also not. And this constantly going on for years made me feel such great shame and embarrassment because I could just simply not understand. I couldn't understand what I was saying or doing to make her get to this conclusion consistently and constantly. And on top of that, she kept trying to make being a lesbian seem like a bad thing or something that I should be ashamed of if it were true. And I'm sure you can imagine that this is extremely confusing when someone who's supposed to be your best friend is putting this on you consistently from a young age. I think she tried to make me feel shame and make me feel feelings that maybe she was feeling internally, but just couldn't, address. So instead, it was projected onto me so I could absorb the shockwaves. Back then, obviously, I did not understand narcissism. I did not understand projection. I also was undiagnosed BPD amongst many other things, just extremely vulnerable. And as we got more into adulthood, eventually that narrative finally was dropped and attempted other manipulations on my life. And this obviously always stuck with me because she just kept trying to project an identity onto me that just wasn't and isn't me, which is classic narcissism. I now see how this is obviously all connected, and she tried manipulation after manipulation to try to mess with my life path, my identity, and who I am. And this is why it's so important to pay attention to who you allow close to you, because sometimes they will try to tell you who you are and manipulate you into believing it. Never let them. It is far better being alone than being surrounded by even one fake person preying on your downfall and preying on the manipulation that they're planting to work. When people try to tell you who you are, they are usually actually telling on themselves. And if that were my preference, I would have no problem saying it. But it's not, and nothing pisses me off more than someone trying to tell me who I am. I'll tell you who the fuck I am. I'm sharing this because I know I'm not the only one who has had things like this happen to them, and I want you to know that you're not alone, and sometimes with these projections, awful things can come as a result. I understand, I see you, and I empower you to reflect inwards and get the information from yourself on who you are. Never rely on an outside source to tell you who you are on the inside. Only you know that.